Hello, happy Saturday. Gonna let a couple of people hop on here real quick and share this into a couple pages. When you hop on, if you are watching the replay, drop me a 1 down in the comments. I always like to see who watches these live and who catches them later. Okay, there we go. Guys, I'm excited. This is something that jumped out at me yesterday. I was doing my devotions and I was like, holy crap, this is good. Hey, Julie. Have you guys ever had where you're reading something and it's common knowledge, but you feel so convicted about it, you're like, wow, this is definitely something that I probably need to work on. Hey, Kim. Okay, last one. Okay, let's get started. So if you have not ever been on one of these journaling Zooms before, go ahead and drop me a 2 in the comments. I love to see who is brand new and never done this. Guys, you can be skeptical. It's okay. So if you've never done any journaling, the first couple parts is a little bit of journal work. After that, I give you a little devotional. So you are more than welcome to just kind of follow along, not actually do the journaling if that's not something you're into. I do think this will be a benefit to everybody. However, and then if you've been on these before, again, let me know, because some of y'all come back every single time and I think that's amazing. My husband's giving me hearts on here. How sweet. Okay. First thing I want you to write down is when somebody gives you constructive criticism. Just kidding. So number 1, when was the last time someone gave you constructive criticism? So write down the experience, and then the second part, we're going to go to how we reacted. So the first part is just, when's the last time someone gave you constructive criticism, and go ahead and write that down. And I'm going to tell you mine. I'm not going to use the name because I don't want to embarrass her, and this was a good thing. So, this was, I'm not calling anyone out. This was a good thing. So one of the girls on my team, she got real irritated, frustrated, whatever the word you want to use, 2 or 3 days ago about one of our team chats was getting a little bit too big, and there were questions and screenshots and stuff that were getting lost and not answered very fast. So she was irritated about it, and I don't want to say she called me out, she pointed it out. But the first thing I did, I did take it personal at first. My very first reaction was the nerve. What is this girl doing? So number 1 is write down the situation. Number 2, write down how did you react. Now listen, if you can't think of a time where someone gave you constructive criticism relatively recent, it's probably because you're somebody who they know if they say anything that's even remotely criticizing you, you're either going to bite their head off or you're going to not talk to them again. So if you don't ever get constructive criticism, you may want to re-examine your relationships and re-examine yourself. That's actually a bad thing. You should be getting constructive criticism from people. So she was telling me the stuff that she didn't like about this chat. And my first reaction legitimately was, how dare she? This girl's brand new. She has not ever been where I have been. Okay, and I'm not kidding you, maybe 5 minutes, probably less than that. I was like, no. I know how to deal with constructive criticism, and pushing it off and getting mad at the person is not how a leader deals with constructive criticism. So then I asked myself, I said, okay, are her words true? Is this something that, if it's true, it's constructive criticism. If it's just somebody being mean to you, that's not constructive criticism. That's a toxic person that you should not have in your life. But if it's true, they're just pointing out something that you should have already changed anyways. So as soon as I asked myself that, I was like, you know what? I'm a big biking mood. So anyways, I don't know. I might be reading that word wrong. I might be. So anyways, I asked myself, I was like, is it true? And then I had to think, I was like, you know what? I have been saying for a couple of months now that the chat is overwhelming me because it's so many people in there and people are talking all the time and I'm missing things. So it is true. I just haven't gotten off my butt and changed it. So it was exciting. It was scary. It was new. We split into another team on I have 2 teams right now that I work with closely. And so this couple days ago, we split into a third team, which to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a whole nother team of people that I am working with and training and like another split of my time, I guess. So it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, but it definitely was something that I needed that extra push to actually make it happen and grow, because growing is not comfortable. That's the point of growing. So I didn't want to grow. I was kind of comfortable where I was. And then number 3, I want you to write down everybody that you purposefully talked to this week. So we're in quarantine. Most of your interactions, all of your interactions except people you live with, should be on the phone or Facebook or whatever. So they are purposeful, right? You're not accidentally running into people at your kid's school, and you're not accidentally running into people at church. So write down all the people you've talked to. Now, I'm not talking about like teammates or customers or whatever if you're doing this little advertising gig with me. I'm talking about like friends that you've purposely reached out to. Then, I want you, well actually we're going to go back to that list. So just write down all the people you've talked to because I don't want to get into that just yet. So number 1 is write down when was the last time someone gave you constructive criticism. Number 2, write down how you reacted. Number 3, write down all the people you talked to this week. And if you haven't talked to anybody, that's another sign you probably should put yourself out there a little bit more because we need relationships. And I put down, I've purposely talked to 7 people this week that were not like affiliated with my business or, that I had to talk to. 7 people that I purposely reached out. One's affiliated with my business, but she's someone I talk to on a personal level all the time. So like it wasn't about business, I guess, if that makes sense. Thank you, Kim. My hubby thinks it's constructive criticism. I think not. Girl, y'all need to get on the same page with that. That is not something I can tell you. That is up to your husband. Or up to you and your husband if that's constructive criticism or not. So the little devotional, how I want to tie this all together, it's actually not quite so little. This one was like near and dear to me. So the first one was, when was the last time someone gave you constructive criticism? I just told you, the last time that someone gave me. So I have learned to deal with constructive criticism pretty well, but I've also learned to walk away from people who aren't dealing with it very well, like not give my time to those people. I'm going to tell you a little story about a negative experience with constructive criticism as we kind of go through this. Because a long time ago, so if you think you know who I'm talking about, you don't. I was with a group of teachers, my husband and I were, and they decided that they wanted to change some of the way that we were doing some of our classes. And they gave every excuse in the book why. And my husband and I were kind of heading this up. So we were trying to fix all of these little fires that were being told this is why we want to change. Every time we fixed something, another one popped up. There was another excuse. And we were like, okay, what is the real reason? Because clearly someone's not telling us the truth. The real reason was a lot of the teachers were also parents, and they did not want to put the time in to their kids to help them memorize these Bible verses we were working on. So instead of saying that, though, their excuse was, we don't have time. And they gave us all these reasons why they didn't have time. So then my husband and I kind of examined, and we're like, they don't have time, but they're like the team parent for all their kids' sports. They go, they travel, they do all this stuff. So in reality, they had time. This just wasn't a priority for them, and that's okay. But using the excuse of I don't have time is never a valid excuse. Because we all have the same 24 hours. We choose what we do with that. So there were some inconsistencies. There was some hypocrisy, for lack of a better word. And my husband and I, we were friends with these people. So we sat down, had a conversation, and pointed some of these things out in a very loving way. It was constructive criticism. And we kind of gave the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't realize that they're saying one thing and doing the other, because our actions speak louder than our words. So we say we have certain priorities, but then we don't act on those, or like what they were doing, they were acting the opposite of those priorities with their kids, then that means that those are not your true priorities. So we're like, maybe they just don't realize like what they're actually saying with their actions. As soon as we sat down to talk to them, everything came back on us. It was an attack of our character. This is what we're doing wrong. It was kind of like they talked very humble, but as soon as someone pointed out that they weren't perfect, it all came back to us. And so after this meeting, my husband and I were like, they're not very open to hearing constructive criticism. So then my husband decided to have a meeting just with the husband, and it went about as well as the first one did. So we kind of walked away from the situation at hand altogether. We're like, this is not the kind of leadership that you want as someone who's growing doesn't want to be underneath somebody who's refusing to grow. And furthering that, when I was reading the Bible this morning, that's what kind of jumped out at me, is the Bible talks about how when we basically run from constructive criticism, or we receive it and we automatically turn it on the other person, it means our hearts are not softened to God, because God uses people to show us where we need to grow. So if we constantly, God's bringing those people and we are pushing them away because we don't want to hear it, then our hearts are not softened to what he is wanting us to know. And that is a very humbling experience. I've been on the receiving end of that more often than I can count. When someone comes and tells you something that you are doing wrong, or that you could be doing better, sometimes it's not wrong. Sometimes it's a difference between good and best. And that's what this situation was. Like, the other leaders weren't doing anything wrong. It was just they were not consistent with the words that they were saying. And just, again, some double standards would be the lack of the better term, I guess. But instead of being open and talking it out, it was like, no, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. My husband and I were like, okay, these are people that their heart is not softened to God right now. Hopefully they will be in the future. But us sitting in like, well, you're doing this and you're doing this doesn't help the situation. So you just remove yourself. That's fine. So you don't want to be like that. So when somebody comes and gives you constructive criticism, how you react is showing how soft your heart is. And I know you're thinking like, but I don't want people telling me what to do. Like, they have no right to judge me, right? Like, they got a beam in their own eye. I can't tell you how many times I hear that. Guys, don't take stuff out of context when it comes to the Bible. That's not what that verse is saying. So what you need to do when you get constructive criticism is you need to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, is that person an authority in that area? Or are they doing better than me in that area? And by better, I don't mean like, are they a better person? I just mean, are they more successful? Are they more productive? Whatever, in that area. So in our case, the area that we were talking to them about was time management and child rearing. Because one problem that we saw, that a lot of people saw, we were just the only ones that really said anything, was the discipline. It was definitely one of those things where the kids have very little discipline in the home, so they kind of run the home. So the fact that they didn't have time was more like the kids just didn't want to do it, and the parents were tired of like fighting with them. So in that area, my husband and I are very much authorities. When it comes to disciplining, scheduling, time management, anything like that with our family, we have spent lots of time and money to gain wisdom in that. And we have people coming to us on a daily and weekly basis asking us for guidance and counseling with their families. And we're happy to give it, because there are plenty of other areas where we are not. Like, we are not an authority whatsoever, and we go to people for guidance. So don't ever think just because someone is an authority in something that they have that they're better than you at overall. They just happen to be better at managing that one small area of their life. So now in this case, with the girl on my team, when I asked myself that question, the answer was no. She's not an authority in that, and she's not better at me, better or more successful or more productive in that area. I've been in this way longer than her. I've taught a way bigger group of people. So just because you answer no to that first question does not mean they're not allowed to give you the constructive criticism. It just means you go on to step number 2 and number 3. The second question you want to ask her, are their words true? So again, in our case, the words were true. In the second case I'm talking about with the girl on my team, her words were also true. So if the words are true, all that means is you may not want to hear them, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't be fixing what they're talking about. So then the third thing you want to ask yourself is, okay, regardless if they're an authority or not, but if they're an authority on that subject, I would say 99.9% of the time, you should be fixing it. If they're not an authority in that subject, but the words are true, there's still about a 95% chance that you should be heeding what they're telling you. So the third thing is, how can I apply that and fix the situation, or at least make it better? So in my case, applying it meant splitting my team into that third team and just putting a little extra work in to make it that much more of a productive unit. And I did, and it was awesome. And I felt so much better afterwards. And it was humbling, I'm not going to lie to you. And I apologized to a couple of people, set up Zooms with a couple of people, and it was humbling. But humbling is a good thing, guys. Like, when you grow, you're going to be humbled. And when you grow, it's not going to be comfortable. People that want to brush off constructive criticism and they don't want to change, it's because they're comfortable living where they're at. If you ever want to raise your standard of living when it comes to raising your kids, your finances, your health, your mindset, anything, it's going to take raising those standards. So the last thing that I wanted to point out were those people that you wrote down. This is where it comes into play of what kind of people should you be avoiding and not giving all of your time to. Now, the first types of people are number ones. That's what I just described. They will tear you apart if you try to give them constructive criticism. On the flip side, if you're friends with them, you can come to them and you could have fed your kid corn dogs and French fries for the last 30 days and not gotten out of bed till noon. And they're going to tell you how great of a job you're doing because you kept them alive and you just lived your best life. Okay, they're going to make you feel so good, and they're going to blow smoke up your butt all day long, for lack of a better term. Those people are toxic. They are the fastest ones to turn around and stab you in the back, and I know because I've been there. Okay, I was friends with this person that the constructive criticism thing happened, and they kind of like just very evident that their heart was not in it. And several times she had come to me complaining and gossiping and just tearing down other women that a week later were her best friends, and the week before was her best friend. And so I already knew, I was like, I'm going to watch out for this one, because if they're going to say that about their friend, they're going to say it about you. If all they do is tell you what you want to hear, they're going to tell someone else also what they want to hear, and it may be something bad about you because that's what they're interested in talking about. So I would just be very mindful. People's words and people's actions, if they don't match, or their words are constantly talking about somebody else, you need to avoid those people altogether. Now, number 2 are the people that they don't give much constructive criticism. They're a little bit too politically correct. They care a little bit too much what people think about them. They also don't like to receive constructive criticism. They're not bad people. They're usually very good people. In fact, they're usually people that are doing lots of things right. They're people like you and me before we decided we really wanted to grow. Okay? I used to be a number 2. I will tell you, I was a 2 for a very long time. They're not people you should avoid altogether. They're not people you should give all of your time to, though. And they're not people you should go to advice when it comes to business, marriage, child rearing, basically anything that causes you an enormous amount of growing to be able to get to the top. Not the kind of people you want to go to for advice. They're very loyal. They do make very good friends. But they're just not the people that you want to surround yourself. You don't want them to be your inner circle. And number 3, these are the people that number 1s hate. They make you feel uncomfortable. They do way more than the average person probably should. You have every excuse in the world why you can't do what they're doing. They're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and working out. Like Ray Higdon talks about getting up, I think at 4 or something, and he does like crazy amounts of workouts and writes books and whatever. Denise Walsh works out 5:30 every single morning, like super strict diet, like very good routine. There's people that you love to look at and be like, well, they have it all together because this, and this. I could never do that. But in reality, They're some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. They're some of the most giving people that you'll ever meet. And they're the people that push you to be the best version of yourself. So I want you to go back to that list, and beside every person, I want you to write down if they're a 1, a 2, or a 3. If they're a 1, do they never challenge you? They always make you feel good, but you don't trust them farther than you could throw them because they gossip about everybody. Definitely you don't give them constructive criticism because they're going to throw you to the wind. 2s, are they the people that, yes, they're good friends, they're really good people, they don't really hurt you or do good. You know, like you don't get a whole lot from their relationship other than that's awesome, they're friends, they're nice, it gives me a good feeling, but they also don't drain you. Okay, so again, not bad people whatsoever. 3s, do they challenge you to really be better? Okay, the majority of your time should be going to the 3s. I would say if I meet with 5 friends for coffee this week, I don't ever meet with 5 friends for coffee unless it's on a Zoom, but I'm just saying that's a lot of time. But if I met for 5 friends, only one of them should be a 2, the other 4 should be a 3, and none of them should be a 1. The 1s don't need to be your friends. There are plenty of people that are 1s themselves that can click with these 1s and they can sit and talk bad about you because you're building your business and your kid behaves in church and when you drop your kids off at school, they're yes ma'am and no ma'am and they're not getting in trouble with the teachers and whatever else they want to hate on you for. There are plenty of those people, like they can go talk to themselves. Your 2s are going to be nice and you can have coffee every once in a while. Your 3s are the ones that you don't really like hanging out with, at least in the beginning, because every time you're around them, they're so nice. They're not saying anything to you. But maybe you're out to eat and they're like, oh, can I get the side salad? And you're like, I was going to order like a double side of fries. Or you start gossiping and they're like, let's change the subject to something else. And you're like, I mean, are you too good to gossip? Yes, they're too good to gossip because we should all be too good to gossip. I'm not sometimes. I'm not going to lie to y'all. That's something I struggle with, but we should all be too good to gossip. Kimberly Flores, yes, she is. Aw, good. I definitely think Kimberly's the number 3, so that's good. Okay, I want to talk just a minute to you leaders because something that's very dangerous as you grow as a leader is you're around a lot of 1s and a lot of 2s. Now, when it comes to like your customers, your distributors, you're around a lot of people who are looking to you as their number 3. Guys, I can't tell you how many people look to me for child rearing, for marriage advice, for business advice, for time management. It could be very easy for me to be like, well, got my life all together, like all these people coming to me for advice. I mean, clearly I'm doing it right. But if I look at the people doing it better than me, 1, it keeps me humble. 2, it makes me push and grow because the people coming to me for advice are never going to outgrow me. So if I'm not going to someone else for advice so I can grow more and more, I'm doing the people coming to me a disservice because they're never going to come up to the level they need to be because I'm only here. So that's why I say find people in your space that are better than you. I will say a couple people that I wrote down is Ray Higdon's one of those. And guess what? I'm not a 3 to him. I hope I'm not a 1. I think I'm a 2, but I'm definitely not a 3. I'm not someone that Ray looks to like, oh, how do I build my online home business? No, because I'm going to him for that. Like, he is so far above me. And you know what? He's going to Grant Cardone. He's going to someone that I can't even fathom being as good as. I can see myself as good as Ray. I've got a heck of a lot of work to be there, but I can see myself doing it. Grant Cardone's like an alien. I don't even know. Like, I can't see that yet. Like, my vision is not that big. Now, Ray can see himself being as good as Grant. And Ray passed my level probably 10 years ago. Denise Welsh is one, same thing when it comes to time management. She's someone that I've gotten to talk to and become friends with, and I'm excited because, like, it intimidates me every time I talk to that woman. But she's not someone that's like, oh, let me see what Tanya's schedule looks like today. Let me make sure that I'm living up to par to how she's scheduling her time. No, she would look at my schedule and be like, this girl lazy. Like, she got out of bed at what time? What the heck did she eat for dinner? Like, that's what she'd be looking at my list. I'm looking to her, and I'm sure she's looking to coaches that are way higher than she is. I can tell you, I just met a 3 when it comes to parenting. I've been looking for a 3 for parenting for a while. I have a lot of 2s. I have a lot of awesome people around me, but I don't have anyone that really, like, pushes me to that next level of parenting. I found her. I'm going to call her out on here because hopefully she don't care, but Amber Tantinelli, that girl is like, she's so patient. She goes the extra mile with everything she does with her kids. Like, they have the highest standards of everything. We did a junior church craft live last week, and I showed like the hard, the medium, the easy, just, you know, some different variations. And this girl goes and gets some canvases and makes some stuff like you would legit like go hang in an art room somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, I did not take that extra step with my kid. She would have loved it. My kid would have loved to have something to actually hang up. No, it's probably already in the trash, I think, if I'm being honest. But I could have taken the extra step and like done something really cool with her. But instead I was like, no, like it's probably better than most of the people are doing. And just the patience that she talks about. She has a son, and I don't think she minds me sharing this because she shares it on her page. Actually, I'm going to go back to her message because I don't even remember what it's called. 2 seconds, guys, and then I'll be done. She has a son that has... Amber, if you're on here, just type it out because I don't even remember. It's called Leishman disease, I believe. But basically, if you go to my Facebook right now, you can actually see a video of him saying the memory verse. So he has a disease where, I'm going to butcher this, I know I'm not explaining it right, but basically his body does not function like ours. He has very little control over a lot of his movements. She has to be hands-on with him pretty much 24/7. She homeschools them. She runs a business that she's doing amazing doing this with us. She still has them do memory verses. She still has them do crafts. Like, so many parents that I know a lot of parents that have kids that have disabilities, very minor compared to that. Now, I'm not saying your circumstance is minor. Any disability I get is huge. I'm saying when you compare apples to apples and like the amount of time that has to go into this kid compared to a normal, just like a small like dyslexia or something. And again, I'm not minimizing your specific situation. I'm saying when you're comparing the two. And the complaints that I hear of, oh, well, they can't do the memory verse because of this, or, well, they can't do the craft because of this, and I don't have time to do this. And I look at Amber, and I'm like, holy crap, like, you have the most patience out of any mom that I have ever met. I get irritated at my kid in the mornings when she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing, her responsibilities. I have to put no effort into that. I'm sitting here journaling, and I'm like, why is she not doing what she's supposed to do? Okay, Amber doesn't have that luxury. She has to do what he's supposed to do with him. So when she was telling me some of the stuff, I was like, yeah, this is a dose of reality that God is giving me of how I need to step it up as a parent and give my kid the time and attention that she deserves and that I should be giving her as a parent because God allowed me to have her, instead of having every excuse in the world why I'm too busy to pour into her like I should. Okay, so all that to say, I don't mean to do a parenting rant, but I'm so passionate about just being a good parent and like biblical parenting. But anyways, so she's my 3 when it comes to parenting, and like I creep her page all the time now because I'm like, dude, when I start feeling like, man, I'm doing good, like comparing myself to people like, man, I'm a good parent, I'm a good mom. I don't gotta do the extra, like I don't need to read an extra book to my kid today, I'm doing fine. I look at her page, I'm like, yeah, I need to step it up and be a better parent to my kid, not because I need to be better than Amber, but because every kid deserves the best version of their parent. No kid deserves a parent that wants to give them their very minimum. God didn't give you that kid for that. God didn't give you that spouse so you could not be the best wife possible or the best husband possible if you're on here. God didn't give you your business so you could be lazy and not work it. God did not give you any part of your life. He didn't give you your finances so you could squander them and not learn how to actually invest or how to just be wise with your money. God didn't give you 24 hours of a day, 24 healthy hours, so you could lay around and watch Netflix all day. And I know, I get it. I'm going to get hate for that. That's okay. I'm not someone that's going to sit and tell you how great you are for, it's quarantine time, just be lazy for 2 weeks. No, because in 2 weeks, you're going to look at it and be like, oh, look, now I don't have time to clean my house or do whatever, and I just wasted 2 weeks that I could have done all that. So that is it, guys. Once again, turned into a little bit of a preaching session, but whatever. It was just, again, God laid it on my heart, and it was something that I wanted to share. So Have an awesome rest of your Saturday. I'm going to go watch another movie with my husband. I've got some emails to return. I've got like probably 70 emails to return right now, not even exaggeration. So I'm going to do that while we are watching a movie, and then I will talk to you guys later.